A burned female body was found in an abandoned ditch. The lower half of the body had been charred into charcoal, and the shin bone was broken into several pieces. Before her death, the victim was not only brutally assaulted, but also stabbed and left with severe injuries. What's most chilling is that the cause of death was being doused with gasoline and burned alive. What kind of deep hatred could drive someone to inflict such torture? Shockingly, in court, the killer brazenly declared that he was delivering justice on behalf of heaven, and even cursed the judge for aiding and abetting evil. On June 17, 2003, at a construction site in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, workers arrived as usual, ready to begin their day. But this morning, everyone noticed a strong smell of something burned. Some workers with keener senses also caught a faint stench of decay. They thought to themselves, could it be a rat that chewed through some wires and got burned? Fearing an electrical short circuit that could spark a fire, they followed the burnt smell to a 5-foot deep ditch. Peering down into the ditch, they saw 2 large tires pressing down on something. A wave of overpowering rot hit them instantly. One worker was about to step forward and move the tires, but another quickly stopped him. He pointed to the side of the tires, where a black object, resembling a human foot bone, was partially exposed. Combined with the smell of decay and burning, everyone on site felt a chill run down their spine. The workers immediately called the police. The police arrived swiftly after receiving the report. They carefully moved the tires aside, and before everyone's eyes lay a severely burned human body, a sight that made hearts pound and stomachs turn. According to the initial examination, the body had burns covering 95% of its surface. Everything from the waist down was charred into coal, the lower legs shattered into several pieces, and the face was completely unrecognizable. The victim's hands were crossed and forcibly tied against the chest. A strip of cotton was wrapped tightly around the neck. Most chilling of all, forensic tests revealed that before death, the victim had been stabbed twice in the abdomen, causing grave injuries. While still barely alive, the victim was sexually assaulted. And most importantly, even after the assault, there were still faint signs of life. The killer, in order to destroy all evidence, burned the victim alive. The tires placed on her body were meant to pin her down and prevent her from struggling. When police learned of this conclusion, they were filled with anger. But the most urgent task was to identify the victim. There were no surveillance cameras at the crime scene, and the victim's body was far too damaged to be recognized. Where should they even begin? At that moment, investigators recalled that 4 days earlier, a young woman named Wang Wanxia had filed a missing person report, stating that her elder sister, Wang Lijuan, had disappeared. Most importantly, Wang Lijuan had still not been found. Police immediately contacted her family and asked them to come and identify the remains. The moment Wang Lijuan's mother saw the body, she broke down in uncontrollable sobs, because the few scraps of clothing left on the corpse belonged to her daughter. A subsequent DNA test confirmed that the burned body was indeed that of Wang Lijuan, who had gone missing 4 days earlier. Why did Wang Lijuan disappear? And what kind of hatred drove the killer to torture and murder her so brutally? Wang Lijuan was born into a well-off family in Kuala Lumpur. Her father, a Malaysian Chinese, was the principal of a secondary school. Her mother, of Indian descent, taught at the same school alongside her husband. From an early age, the couple placed great importance on their daughter's education. Wang Lijuan lived up to their expectations. In 1993, at the age of 18, she was admitted to a prestigious university in the United States with outstanding grades and awarded a full scholarship. Not only that, while in school, she also earned a black belt, the highest rank in Taekwondo. It could be said that if she ever encountered a criminal, she had some ability to fight back. After graduating, Wang Lijuan became an information technology analyst and met her future husband, Wang Etienne. The two settled down in San Diego, USA. At the end of May 2003, Wang Lijuan suddenly received a call from her mother. Her mother said that her father had recently noticed blood in his urine, and a hospital examination revealed a tumor in one of his internal organs, requiring surgery. Distressed by the news, Wang Lijuan immediately put down her work, bought a plane ticket, and flew back to Kuala Lumpur. Fortunately, the tumor had not yet turned cancerous. After the surgery was successfully completed, the doctor told them that her father only needed a period of rest before he could be discharged. With the weight finally lifted from her heart, Wang Lijuan and her younger sister took turns caring for their father for a week. Seeing his condition improving day by day, Wang Lijuan booked a ticket to return to the United States on June 14th. Since her daughter had gone to the US after graduating high school and rarely came back to Kuala Lumpur, her mother decided to invite relatives to a dinner gathering, setting the date for the evening of June 13th. However, on the evening of June 13th, Wang Lijuan appeared noticeably uneasy. She told her relatives she felt like someone was following her. But they didn't take it seriously. Instead, they teased her saying, "Such a beautiful young woman, what man wouldn't like you?" At 9:30 p.m., as the dinner drew to a close, Wang Lijuan's mother began to feel unwell after several busy days. Wang Lijuan suggested that her younger sister take their mother outside first, while she went to the parking lot to drive the car up to pick them up. But after she left, Wang Lijuan never came back. 20 minutes later, Wang Wenxia and her mother began to sense something was wrong. It should only take a few minutes to get from the parking garage to the front entrance. So why had so much time passed, and Wang Lijuan still hadn't come? Wang Wenxia immediately called her sister, but no one ever picked up. Another 10 minutes went by, and the relatives and friends who had been at the hotel gathering started coming out one after another. Seeing Wang Wenxia and her mother still standing there, they couldn't help but look puzzled. Only then did Wang Wenxia hurriedly tell everyone that her sister had been gone for half an hour and still hadn't come back. At that moment, a chill ran through everyone's hearts. They all remembered what Wang Lijuan had said at dinner, about feeling like someone was following her. Without wasting another second, they rushed straight to the underground parking garage. But the spot where Wang Lijuan's car had been parked was now completely empty. The group searched the entire garage, but there was no sign of Wang Lijuan or her car. By then, an hour had passed since her disappearance, and all the calls from her mother and sister went unanswered. Determined to find out what had happened, they went to the hotel security office and asked to check the garage surveillance footage. However, the security staff flatly refused their request. With no other choice, Wang Wenxia called the police for help. Once the police got involved, Wang Lijuan's movements that night were finally revealed. Surveillance footage showed that at 9:35 p.m., Wang Lijuan walked alone into the underground parking garage. As soon as she unlocked her car door, a man suddenly rushed out from a nearby corner. Catching her off guard, he came up from behind and wrapped his arm around her neck. Realizing what was happening, Wang Lijuan fought back immediately. But she was no match for the much stronger man. Within moments, he had dragged her into the car. The man then struck her repeatedly in the abdomen, causing her to lose consciousness in the seat. He quickly started the engine and drove toward the hotel exit. Because the underground garage used an automated gate, when he reached the barrier, he didn't hesitate for even a second. Slamming on the gas, crashing through the gate, and speeding away from the scene. When they saw the footage, Wang Lijuan's relatives were furious. Logically speaking, a car crashing through an automated barrier would have made a huge commotion. There was no way the garage security guards could have been unaware of it. Yet, despite such an unusual incident, the hotel not only took no action, but also refused to let the family view the surveillance footage. It was clear that the hotel must have known what had happened in the garage that night. However, out of concern for their reputation or fear of the family pursuing liability, they chose to turn a blind eye. Still, anger aside, the most urgent matter now was to find out where Wang Lijuan was. By repeatedly reviewing the surveillance video, police were able to put together a rough description of the suspect. A broad facial structure, thinning hair at the forehead, dark skin, likely a local Malaysian. Initially, police suspected the man might have had a personal relationship with Wang Lijuan. But her mother immediately dismissed the idea. Her daughter had only returned once in many years, so it was impossible for her to have such an entanglement with a local man. That left only one possibility. The crime was either for money or for sexual assault. In Malaysia, robbery and rape alone are not punishable by death. Only intentional homicide carries such a penalty. Since Wang Lijuan had no known enemies in Malaysia, it was likely that the perpetrator's motive was simply robbery or sexual assault. If that were the case, her life should still be in no immediate danger. The police instructed her family to stay alert for any news about her while they conducted a large-scale search for her vehicle. On the afternoon of June 14th, police located Wang Lijuan's car in an industrial area near Old Klang Road. By then, the vehicle's appearance was almost unrecognizable. The front end was wrecked, the right front tire completely destroyed. Most crucially, in the back seat police found Wang Lijuan's high heels and a large amount of blood. Forensic analysis also detected the presence of male semen at the scene. This meant that Wang Lijuan had not only been sexually assaulted, but was also likely seriously injured. Police immediately ran the DNA through Kuala Lumpur's database, but found no matching samples. Could it be that the perpetrator was not a Malaysian national? However, after cross-checking samples from foreigners who had recently entered the country, police still found no match to the suspect's DNA. Had the killer simply vanished into thin air? The case had reached a deadlock. Meanwhile, Wang Lijuan's family published a reward notice in the newspapers, offering a substantial sum to anyone who could provide useful information. Not long after the notice went out, 2 eyewitnesses came forward. The first eyewitness was a truck driver. He recounted that on the night of June 13th, he saw a car parked motionless on a remote road, its headlights still on. Thinking the vehicle might have broken down, he walked over to ask if the driver needed help. But just as he approached the car, a man suddenly climbed out from the back seat and quickly slid into the driver's seat. The truck driver happened to glance toward the back and saw a disheveled woman inside. Assuming they were just a couple who had been making out in the back seat, he felt a bit embarrassed. Trying to ease the awkwardness, he asked again if they needed assistance, but the man in the driver's seat angrily told him to get lost. Seeing this, the driver reluctantly turned to leave. Before he walked away, he glanced one last time at the woman in the back seat. She was staring at him with an expression he couldn't quite understand, her hands crossed tightly over her chest. Before the truck driver could ask anything else, the man slammed on the gas and sped away from the scene. It wasn't until the truck driver later saw the reward notice in the newspaper that he realized the man he'd seen that night looked exactly like the suspect in the case. He rushed to the police station to provide his statement. The second eyewitness was a traffic police officer named Ravi. In the early hours of June 14th, Ravi and his colleague Ross were patrolling the neighborhood when they spotted a Crown sedan with front-end damage. A man and a woman were inside the car. Acting on their instincts as traffic officers, they stopped the vehicle and asked the pair to present identification. During the check, Ravi noticed the male driver's eyes darting around. He looked extremely nervous. The woman in the back seat was disheveled and dazed. Ravi immediately ordered both of them to step out for inspection. Upon hearing this, the woman began to get out of the car, but the driver suddenly slammed the accelerator and sped away. Ravi and Ross gave chase on their motorcycles. To slow the car, Ravi drew his service pistol and fired 2 shots at the right front tire. Unfortunately, even with the tire blown out, they still failed to catch up. Just as they were feeling discouraged, Ravi realized he was still holding the pair's ID cards. On closer look, the disheveled woman was identified as Wang Lijuan, and the driver as Ahmad Najib bin Aris. Later, occupied with other matters, Ravi and Ross let the incident slip from their minds and left the IDs in a drawer. It was only after seeing the news that Ravi realized the victim's name was the same as the woman they had encountered that night, and he promptly reported this to his superiors. Based on all the gathered clues, police were able to conclude with near certainty that the killer was the man named Najib. They immediately launched an investigation into him. It turned out that Najib worked at Kuala Lumpur International Airport as a cleaner responsible for cleaning airplanes. A year earlier, due to his outstanding performance, he had been promoted to manager. The reason his information did not appear in the DNA database was because Kuala Lumpur's system mostly contained records of permanent city residents. Many migrant workers and undocumented individuals were never entered into the system. Najib fell into the former category. At 4 a.m. on June 20, 2003, police raided Najib's home and arrested him. Inside, they found a pair of blood-stained blue jeans, along with a knife, duct tape, lighter, condoms, and other items used in the crime. Tests confirmed that the blood and semen on the blue jeans belonged to both Wang Lijuan and Najib. The DNA on the condom also matched Najib. The evidence was irrefutable. Yet what Najib said next left everyone stunned by its sheer absurdity. Najib told police that when Wang Lijuan got off the plane, she had been flirting with him. Seeing such a beautiful woman, he wanted to approach her, but couldn't leave his post during work hours. Using his position, Najib obtained Wang Lijuan's personal information and planned to seek her out. However, when he saw her again, she acted as though she didn't know him. When Najib tried to strike up a conversation, Wang Lijuan politely rejected him. Feeling humiliated and enraged, Najib convinced himself that this woman had changed her mind in just a few days and was not a good woman at all. He decided to give her one last chance, and if she didn't cherish it, he would rid society of evil. On the evening of June 13th, Najib followed Wang Lijuan to a restaurant and tried to chat her up again. Once more, she rejected him. This time, Najib wasted no time pulling out the punishment tools he had prepared. When Wang Lijuan opened her car door, he took her hostage. To avoid being seen, Najib drove only along deserted roads. On a small road near the Sungay Baysai Expressway construction site, he sexually assaulted her for the first time. But Wang Lijuan fought back fiercely, which further convinced Najib that she was a faithless bad woman. Knocking her unconscious, he then drove to an even more remote road, intending to assault her a second time. However, he was spotted by the truck driver, forcing him to move her to a third location. During this third assault attempt, Wang Lijuan once again resisted with all her strength. Determined to carry out justice, Najib pulled out a knife and stabbed her twice in the abdomen. These 2 stabs caused severe injuries. To prevent others from noticing, Najib covered the wounds with clothing, which explained why, later, Ravi had found her looking dazed and disoriented. In the end, Najib decided it was time to deliver justice. He took Wang Lijuan to the crime scene and ordered her to jump into a ditch about 3 feet deep. By this point, she was barely clinging to life and had no strength to resist. Najib then bound her arms, legs, and neck, and placed 2 tires on top of her body. He poured 2 full bottles of gasoline over her, then lit his lighter. As he watched Wang Lijuan struggling in vain, Najib walked away from the scene in satisfaction. Afterward, he planned to quietly leave Kuala Lumpur, his work done and his fame hidden. But before he could act, police arrived and arrested him. Hearing this account, everyone present was filled with outrage and disbelief. Najib, however, maintained he had done nothing wrong, insisting he was ridding society of evil. He even hired a defense lawyer and demanded that the court acquit him. Under Malaysia's judicial system, when a defendant is convicted of multiple crimes, the punishment is determined by the highest applicable sentence. In Najib's case, if he were sentenced to death, he would not also face caning. But Najib was no ordinary defendant. He stubbornly insisted he was serving justice, accusing the court of aiding and abetting evil, and verbally attacking every official present in the trial. In the end, the court sentenced Najib to death for murder, and to an additional 20 years in prison plus 10 strokes of the cane for rape. Naturally, this self-proclaimed man of justice was unwilling to accept the verdict. In January 2006, March 2007, and March 2009, he appealed to the courts, but each time the Federal Court of Malaysia rejected his case. In September 2016, with all appeals exhausted, Najib was caned and then executed by hanging. Although Najib received the punishment he deserved, the memory of Wang Lijuan's tragic final moments still left people's hearts heavy with grief. What shocked many even more was that Najib had a wife, and when he was arrested, she was already pregnant. No one could understand how his mind had become so twisted. One utterly depraved man had destroyed the bright future of a young woman. Though Wang Lijuan held a black belt in Taekwondo, in the face of overwhelming brute force, her skills were no more than ornamental. She should have had 2 chances to be saved, if the truck driver had been more alert and reported the incident to police. If Traffic Officer Ravi had taken the matter seriously and reported it to his superiors, perhaps this tragedy might have been avoided. But life has no what-ifs. What are your thoughts on this case? Feel free to share them with us in the comments below. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Case Diaries. There are plenty more cases coming your way. Got thoughts on today's story? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.